Everybody wave at the camera. This got to this has to show the
Oh, Princess Lady.
That is me, princess.
Will you invite us to the royal wedding?
All right, good morning. Let me take you back. Imagine this. It's 150 years ago. April 11th, 1961. You're a major, you're in the Union Army, and you're in charge of a fort. Now this fort sits on an island. And the island sits in the middle of an entrance to a major harbor. Now normally, you take your 84 men, you have your guns pointing out to sea, defending the city and the port from attack from the ocean. But not today. Today you're facing the other way. Because you're a Union major and this is, the fort belongs to the Union, but it's in a southern port. So you're facing the other way because all around you, and all the gun battlements that are inside the port, inside the area, is Confederate troops. And they're getting ready to bombard you. And they're getting ready to start firing. They've sent out an ultimatum that you need to get out. You're running out of supplies, and you're running out of ammunition, and relief ships have been sent down by the Union, by Lincoln, to bring you those supplies. The only problem is the Confederates have begun to bombard the fort, and they can't get to you, so they have to sit right offshore. Well, while all this battle is going on, a cannon shot can be heard from out in amongst the ships. That shot would become the first shot of the Civil War fired by a naval vessel. It was fired by the revenue cutter Harriet Lane. I'm Scott Epperson. I've been an amateur historian for about 20 years now, doing research for the Coast Guard, and I'm here to tell you about that first shot. Let's go back just a little bit before that and talk about the Revenue Cutter Service. The Revenue Cutter Service at that time had 24 vessels. Those 24 vessels were in charge of keeping track, or not keeping track, but controlling smuggling and slave trade at the ports of the United States, inside the ports. They belonged to the Department of Treasury and would be on loan every once in a while to the Department of the Navy for the blockades of these ports. Of the 24 vessels, 23 of them were sailing vessels. 6 of those were on the Great Lakes, 3 of those were on the West Coast, and that left 14 for the East Coast. Now, of those 14, as the southern states started to secede from the Union, they started taking over federal property. So 5 of those were taken over by the South right away. There was a 6th one, and that was destroyed by the federal government so the South couldn't get a hold of it. Now, the 24th vessel was the Harriet Lane. Now, the Harriet Lane was a 180-foot steamship. It was 30 foot wide, had 10 guns. It had 2 engines that ran the side wheels, and by running the side wheels, it was able to it had an advantage over the sailing vessels in that it was faster, it didn't need the wind to actually make it go, and it was more maneuverable in heavy seas. And again, it wasn't reliant on the wind. Now, as I said before, the Harriet Lane was part of one of these fleets that was put together by the Navy. When Lincoln found out that Fort Sumter was being bombarded and being blockaded, he sent a fleet of relief ships down to resupply the fort so they could keep on with the fight and keep up holding that territory in that southern state. Well, when the ships got there, Fort Sumter was already under bombardment. And it was being bombarded by all these gun placements, all these positions within the port, within Charleston Harbor. Now, because they were being shot at from all sides, the boats couldn't get in. So they had to sit out past the break, out past the natural bar. Well, during the battle, during all this fighting, the steamship Nashville tried to enter the port and get by. And they were trying to do this with all the smoke and the fog and stuff and get in and sneak in. Well, Captain Fonce of the Harriet Lane saw this, saw the boat trying to get in, and it wasn't flying flat, so wasn't sure who it was. And tried to pull, or not pull them over, but tried to hail them and get them to raise the flag. The Nashville wouldn't raise the flag, so Captain Fonce took the Harriet Lane and told the crew to actually fire a shot across the bow. They fired a shot. And that shot was actually the first shot of the Civil War by a naval vessel. When they fired the shot, the Nashville raised the flag, raised an American flag, and the Harriet Lane actually let them move on into the harbor. This was a ruse because this was actually a Confederate vessel, and they were raising that as disguise to make it look like they were a Union vessel. Like I said, this shot, the Revenue Cutter Service Harriet Lane, became the first shot of the Civil War from a naval vessel. Now, throughout the years, we're taught that Fort Sumter actually is the beginning of the Civil War, and that's where the first shots were fired. But it isn't known, it isn't in a lot of history, that the first naval shot was also shot during that battle, and it was shot by a Revenue Cutter Service, a Revenue Cutter. Any questions? Thank you.